Part 96. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 954. Under the 953 Demon Spirit Spring. Suddenly, a cold voice sounded, "Yanping, save yourself some energy. I'll tell you clearly that you have been trapped in the ancient array and the battlefield. With your current cultivation, how do you want to break through this array? It's going to be 1,800 years, ha 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 ha, and now the lore formation of the lore formation has not been opened, and after you watch the show, I will peel your skin and draw your muscles." Large battle. Yanping has heard of this kind of formation, which is said to be mastered by the elders at the core of the Yan family. This is a unique array passed down from ancient times. The most powerful thing is that it can be arranged on a very large area. When it takes effect, it only works on a small area, even on a specific person, and others. It's not even noticeable. If you want to lay this array, you must not do it in the late Mahayana period. If you want to break the array, you have to do it in the late Mahayana period. Yanmo, you are in the middle of the Mahayana period. How could you set up this team, don't you? Yanping growled. Yanmoha laughed, "You guessed it, there is an elder to help me." "Huh, who can blame? Just blame you for being so insidious and never doing everything. Don't leave others a chance. Even the elders hate you, you blame yourself. If Yekong is there, he must nod and say yes. One more sentence, too domineering. Of course, Yekong is busy right now and has no time to watch the show. He sacrificed water and fire gourds, and did not know how much water he had received. He had a little conscience in his heart. After all, there are thousands of monsters here. If they finished, what would they use? And this water is really useless to myself. He put away the fire and water hyacinth, but became curious about the bottom of the underground river. Why is there so much water of transformation here? Is there a treasure underneath? At this moment, the turtle shell instrument is no longer available. Yekong propped up the spiritual shield and swam deep into the underground river. To say that this underground river is really weird. The more Yekong sinks, the more wide the river's water is. It's almost bottomless. Yekong has a little regret. There is so much water in this place. I just learned that before I collect all right. However, the water of transformation is no longer attractive to him, and he is more concerned about what treasures are below. Sinking down 100 feet again, Yekong appeared in surprise. In front of it, there was a huge vortex. The vortex was very huge. In the middle of the vortex, there was even a black demon overflowing from time to time. Those transformed waters are 100 times stronger. The demon chi radiated out of the vortex, and soon dissolved in the water. Yekong speculated that the water of transformation was the dissolution of these demons. Yekong swims close to the vortex, and wants to get some black demon chi, but now the power of the vortex is very strong, there is a powerful force, forcing him into it. He quickly affixed a spell of avoiding water, and a light of lemons flashed, and the water around Yekong all receded 3 feet to form a vacuum. Without water, Yekong didn't have to worry about being attracted to the vortex, but he didn't dare to approach. "Wolf King, look at what this is." Yekong took out the beast's soul, and asked the Wolf King. The howling Wolf King sniffed his nose, and sighed, "It's so strong, if I found it, I would have risen long ago. But now, I have become a soul, a ghost, and alas, these demon. Useless to me." Yekong cursed, "Who screamed out and asked you, what is this place?" Xiaofen Wolf King looked at the vortex and thought for a long time, and said, "I'm not very clear, but, I guess, this may be the heart of the demon vein." "The heart of the demon vein? What is it?" Yekong asked with a frown. "Why are you so stupid?" said the Wolf King. "Let's talk about the Spirit Stone mine. Do you know how the Spirit Stone was produced?" Yekongdeo said, it seems that when the heavens and earth were opened, the scattered congenital materials formed veins. These veins, like their mothers, constantly gave birth to offspring. Millions of years later, a vein formed a spiritual stone mine. The Wolf King said, yes, like the spirit stone, the demon chi is the same. The vein of the demon vein is the same as the vein of the spirit stone mine. Yekong was startled. What do you mean? Is that there is a vein of demon veins below? If I get that vein of heart, isn't there as much as the demon desires? Exactly. The Wolf King nodded and asked, what are you going to do? Yekong shouted, I do not want to give it away. Treasure is in front of me, don't give it away. The howling Wolf King, stunned, plunged into the beast's souls, cursing, shameless. In fact, Yekong also thinks about it. His Peepa bead world will definitely become bigger and bigger in the future, and there will be monks and demon cultivation, then there should be spiritual stone mines and demon veins, otherwise how do they cultivate? Well, look down. Yekong made up his mind and flew into the whirlpool of demonic chi by protecting himself from the water amulet. All the water was pushed away 3 feet away, so the vortex had no effect on him at all. He supported the oval-shaped spirit shield all over his body and sank quickly. From a distance, it seemed like a 5-colored egg was sinking. Inky water. After sinking down for a while, Yekong felt that the black demon in front was even stronger, and he couldn't see clearly with the side of the sight. Even if he was conscious, he could only let out a distance of 1 foot. No matter how far away, the consciousness will be bounced back by the demon chi, unable to go deep. What's more dangerous is that there are even small whirlpools in the big whirlpool. Those small whirlpools are all pure innocence, as if they are countless powerful flying needles, constantly attacking themselves. Seeing that the amulet was about to resist. Go, Yekong sang and spit out 3 brilliants in his mouth, which were his 3 flying swords. Shenbiwa's golden sword, purple jade fierce water sword, and Kangbei cold fire sword, as if 3 different colors of the dragon, silver, fiery red, gray, 3 flying swords shuttled back and forth in the vortex, around the outer circle of Yekong, constantly crush those tiny demon cyclones. Yekong got deeper and deeper, and finally, he stopped in front of an extremely thick layer of demons. That layer of dark air was as dark as ink, as if it was a barrier. The consciousness could not penetrate at all. Yekong didn't know what was underneath, and he didn't dare to go on. What is this? Xiaofeng Wolf King was released again. He looked at that layer of demon and determined, yes, there must be the heart of the demon vein below. Look at those black liquids. Actually, it's not a barrier, but a demon gas that has condensed into a liquid. It should be all oily demon gas. Yekong wasn't sure how deep this demon liquid was, and he couldn't use the consciousness after entering, which was really risky. But Xiaofeng Wolf King also said, these demons are too pure. Even the most powerful demons must be diluted and used. If the demons are trapped in it, they will be decomposed and melted by these refined demons. Yekong bitterly, isn't that okay? Xiaofeng Wolf King laughed, why not? I'm talking about demon Jiu. Because all the demon Jiu chi is inside, it will be assimilated by pure demon chi. And you are a human, and you have the spiritual power formed by Reiki. Reiki and demon are mutually exclusive, so if you go down, not only will those black oils not approach you, but they will avoid you. Oh, that's it, Yekong understood immediately, and said, the heart below hasn't been taken away. That's because the managers are all monsters and they can't go down. But they dare not let it go. Human beings are afraid that they will be taken away by others in secret, so this is passed down. Xiaofeng Wolf King nodded, it's the reason, I didn't expect to be cheap for you. But even if I said that, there is great danger for you to go down. Yekong asked, what danger? Xiaofeng Wolf said, although demons are repelled by spiritual power, they will also be repelled by spiritual power. Under the influence of both parties, unimaginable pressure will be generated. I urge you to try it out. Turn back early. Yekong nodded and understood the meaning of the Wolf King. This demon and aura were like the two ends of a magnet, repelling each other. The closer they approached, the greater the repulsive force, and when he was between the two poles, he would also be backlogged by this force. Let's go and see. Yekong still wanted to try it, peeled off the avoidance amulet, took back the 3 flying swords, and leaned on the spiritual shield to approach the black oil-like liquid. Sure enough, as the Howling Wolf King said, when the surface of the spiritual shield under Yekong was close to the black oil, those black oil seemed to be pressed into a smooth arc by an inexplicable pressure. Xianxia was happy and sinking again. I saw that the arc of the black oil surface became deeper and deeper, and finally formed a depression. Yekong didn't feel any discomfort, and then continued down. When Yekong's entire body entered the black oil, he saw that the shield of spirits fell into the black oil like a colorful oval egg, and the colorful cartridge case and the black oil were not next to each other, and there was a vacuum in the middle. At the same time, Yekong also felt a faint pressure coming from all directions, but this pressure is completely within the range that can be tolerated. Yekong also felt relieved a lot and continued to go down. As he went down, Yekong also felt a buoyancy that prevented him from diving. Yekong used his own spiritual power to fight and continued to dive. He didn't dare go too fast. Although according to the Wolf King, there can be no monsters inside, but these black oils have not been known for many thousands of years, and it is difficult to say something else. Fortunately, it was quite safe along the way. Yekong dived more than 10 feet. The danger was not encountered. The difficulties came first. The black oil below is getting thicker, the pressure is getting bigger and bigger, the vacuum gap between Lingladun and black oil has changed from 1 foot to 3 inches. Yekong also clearly felt the pressure. And under this kind of pressure, his spiritual power is running out. Replenish spiritual power with spirit stone first. Yekong grabbed a top quality spirit stone with one hand and continued to dive. In this way, we dived dozens of feet. Yekong can't take it anymore. It's too stressful. The gap between spirit shield and black oil is only 1 finger wide. Under strong pressure, the shield of psychics has begun to deform, as if a balloon is being backlogged to explode. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 955. Gate of the 954 Demon Realm. In order to stabilize the shield of spiritual power, the spiritual power of Yekong's 5 Jindans is drying up. Thanks to him having 5 golden dans, otherwise a monk with dan like him would never dive so deep. However, all 5 of his golden dans were dried up. Yekong gritted his teeth and took out Wan Nian Ling Yet. Don't be reluctant to drink. When you turn back to the King Banyan Demon King, use the water of transformation to exchange some 10,000 years of spiritual fluid with him. Relying on the spirit of Wanyan Lingyi to replenish his spiritual power, Yekong braced himself for more than 10 feet. He thought it was a bit overwhelming. The big bottle of Wanyan Lingyi was drunk. More importantly, the pressure was too great. Yekong felt the pressure in all directions seemed to squeeze him flat. The spirit shield is completely deformed, as if it would be crushed at any time. The gap between the spirit shield and the black liquid is almost invisible. How to do? Down or up? Yekong thought about it. Let's support it again. Can't you drink a large bottle of Wan Ningling? If you go back now, you will lose money. No, you have to go back and get back some costs. In this mentality, Yekong has added a lot of energy. If you really say that life is really the same as that of the latrine, sometimes if you add that energy, you will be able to pass through Belden and be completely relaxed. Yekong really felt that way. He felt a sudden looseness below his legs, and then he thundered and slipped. White light. This feeling after Yekong went down. What I thought was, the heart of the demon vein, I am. But when he fell to the ground, he saw that the prospect seemed a little different from what he had imagined. This is a dry ground without water, oil. And that black oil-like demon covering Su Gao above his head. Yekong released his sense of consciousness. Now here is closed, the size of 100 square. The most striking thing in the closed space is the white light, which shines on the black oil in the sky, and the place where the light comes out, turns out to be a black door. Underneath the ground, there is a gate, and where does this gate lead? It's too weird. Yekong walked over, and now there were words on the door, but Yekong didn't know any of them, so he had to invite the Wolf King out again. The Wolf King was surprised when he saw such a scene. Then he looked at the words on the black gate and exclaimed, "This is the gate to the demon world. Do you know these words? Then you talk about what is written on it, and what is the spirit world. These are monster texts, although I haven't learned them, but I have a heritage in my head. What is written here? In ancient times, there was no monster in Xianxia. Later, a great magical monster came from the spirit world. Opened the space, came to Xianxia, and taught those ancient beasts and plants to cultivate. This attracted the dissatisfaction of the human monks, so there was fierce fighting. In the end, the demon was defeated and fled back to the demon spirit world. Human beings ancient, the monk set a seal and closed the door. Ancient times. Yekong pursed his lips. Generally speaking, they all talk about the ancient times. In ancient times, they are really far away, and basically have nothing to do with him. Howling Wolf King sighed again. I thought this was the heart of the demon vein, but I did not expect it to be the gate to the demon spirit world. He looked up at the white light in the sky and said, "This white light also, it's not ordinary white light. This is the demon light from the demon spirit world. It seems that the black oil above and the water of transformation above are all produced by this white light." Yekong nodded and said, "This white light will be gone." The Wolf King asked, "Why?" Yekong smiled, "I want to close this door tightly." Howling Wolf King is also a monster. Listening to Yekong's comment, he said busily, "Master, why are you doing this? Now the door is open, and there is no bad thing, so much water of transformation has been produced, and how much it has benefited. The demon repair? This is a good thing, why should you close it?" Yekong shook his head and said, "It's a small seam now, it will become a big seam in the future, and it will open in the end, and then a powerful extraterrestrial monster will repair it." Wolf King, I know you are also a monster repair, but you also follow Ibn to Kangbei, and you also know the cruel rule of the demons outside the domain. I must not watch this happen again. And, if those extraterrestrial monsters come here, they are not at the same heart as the demons here. Not necessarily good. The Wolf King thought for a while and nodded, "Well, you convinced me, then close the door." However, Yekong soon appeared and this door could not be closed. Not even his hand wants to touch the black door. As soon as his hand approaches the gate, a golden rune appears out of thin air, preventing him from touching the gate. "Do not let me touch." Yekong was so annoyed that he spit out a spit of spirit. Boom! A violent attack came, leaving Yekong far away and hitting the ground. Yekong tried again and again, but it still doesn't work. He just had to forget it. This ancient monk was amazingly amazing. For thousands of years, the ban was still in effect. Since the ban is still valid, Yekong will not care about it. There was a crack in the door, so open it. Maybe the monk kept it intentionally. Yekong smiled at Xiaofeng Wolf King. "Well, the door can't be closed, the white light continues to exist, and the water of transformation continues to exist. Now you are happy." Xiaofeng Wolf King smiled embarrassedly. "After all, I used to be a demon." Yekong nodded. He could understand the thought of Xiaofeng Wolf King, and then he stretched out and sighed, "Okay, now, time for treasure hunt." In fact, he had already seen it. Although it was desolate here, there were still many things. For example, the little grass in front of the gate of the demon world. The grass was strange, black all over, and full of enchantment. I didn't know whether it was a plant or a monster. There is no record of this kind of grass in Yekong's memory, but since it can grow in this kind of place, it is definitely not something that should be in the realm. Yekong took out the golden light pupa. Of course, such strange grasses need to be rooted out, and they will be cultivated in the future. However, digging and digging, Yekong felt wrong, because there was something under the grass, a very hard object. Is there something good underneath? Yekong Kong was shocked and greeted the Wolf King to dig together. The two dug bigger and bigger. After a while, the earth on the underground surface was dug by them. Yekong looked at everything in surprise. The Wolf King was also surprised, and kept saying, "Here, master, now." It turned out that there was a black dragon's body lying quietly under the ground. The dragon's body is full of treasures, dragon heads, dragon horns, dragon scales, dragon skins, and any of them are the treasures of the cultivator's dreams. The magic power used to make magic tools is not generally powerful. Yekong thought about it again and asked, "Don't you say that Yao Xiu can't come down, so why are there black corpses here?" The Xiaofeng Wolf King said, "This proves my words. This black dragon must have wanted to come down. Who knew that he was assimilated in black oil and drained away the power of the demon, so the corpse fell and smashed into the mud. After so many years, buried in the dirt." That's right, Yekong certainly wasn't polite, and went to study the black dragon's body again. After so many years of death, the soul of the black dragon is naturally dissipated and hardened, but in the end it is a beast, and the skeleton inside it is intact. If the whole is made into a bone dragon, the power will definitely not be small. A black dragon skeleton was obtained, and Yekong was not white, and there was the unknown black grass. Yekong put everything into the storage ring, and looked around again, and now there is nothing to take, so he wants to return. But he was about to leave, and suddenly remembered another thing. "Wolf King, press your hand on the door of the demon spirit," Yekong commanded. Howling Wolf did not know what he was going to do, so he walked over and stretched out his hand. When his hand was about to touch the black gate, he saw a layer of golden spells appeared. "Okay, just press on it with your hands," Yekong commanded, and quickly took out a blank jade card. The green jade card was affixed to Yekong's forehead. He used the divine knowledge to record all the spell pattern and the spiritual script above in the jade card, and then compared it again. Then he sat down with satisfaction. Howling Wolf King laughed, "What do you remember about this thing? Ancient spells are difficult to copy." Yekong smiled, "I don't know what it will do in the future, but I specialize in spells, so I can take it back to study." What Yekong didn't know was that he took the risk of hunting for treasure this time. In the future, the most useful thing is the spell he wrote down. Of course, this is the last word, not to mention for the time being. After they cast the spell pattern, Yekong toured the circle again to see that there was nothing more to pick up. Then he put away the Wolf King, held up the spirit shield, and flew up. It was very difficult to get down, but it was very easy to get up. Even if Yekong didn't use any force, the strong buoyancy helped him fly up, as if he were taking an elevator. Yekong's treasure collection was successful, but Yan Ping, who was trapped in the lore of the city, was in pain in the main hall of the city. His status, rights, and dignity were all taken away by his brothers. Now even his wife and daughter must be put under someone else's name. Maybe for some people, these things don't matter at all, but he used to the owner of the Black Dragon City is also a well-known figure in the Yan family. This kind of thing is simply a shame. The ceremony of confessing the ancestors to the ancestors outside has begun. Yan Mohaha laughed and sent a sarcastic look to Yan Ping from time to time. Yan Ping was almost going crazy. In fact, he returned to the Black Dragon City today, and he was not prepared. He still had some preparations. However, the method can only be used once, and the time is very short. Originally, Yanping was going to use it when he was going to keep it with Yan Mo. The current situation forces him to use it in advance. Yan Mo. Don't try to trap the old man with this lore. Even if the old man cannot kill you today, he must expose your conspiracy in front of everyone and let everyone see your true face. Yanping suddenly raised his head and sang loudly. The momentum on his body suddenly increased more than 10 times, the whole body skyrocketed, the dragon eyes were blood red, and all the dragon scales were erected. In the gaps of the dragon scales, there were even blood beads exuding. Incomparable. Yan Mo, who was preparing to take Dao on their knees, looked at this side in surprise. This is blood sacrifice. Yanping killed a fierce color in his eyes, one claw, and bumped into it again. To the reader. 4 chapters to send. The number is 681,337, everyone is welcome to join. When the new year, Xiaoman will go to celebrate the new year, smiley face. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 956. 955 So brother. Boom. With a loud noise that shook the city, everyone in the Black Dragon City saw the flaming black dragon that appeared above the city's main palace that night. Yanping desperately used the method of blood sacrifice to escape from difficulties. The people in the hall were stunned, watching the half-roof being lifted open, and didn't know what to do. Yan Mo's face looked even darker. He didn't expect that this guy Yanping would have such a bad spell. Blood sacrifice. Legend has it that the whole body's essence and blood go retrograde, instantly boosting a whole realm of anti-sky magic. Yanping, you are not easy. Yan Mo pinched his fist and looked at the black dragon in the sky coldly, and said, but, I heard that after using this spell, it can only maintain an instant effect, and will be seriously injured. I see you are looking for death. The night wind blew, and the black dragon hovered in the sky, turning into a tall black-faced old man. Although he was injured at this moment, when he slowly descended from the sky, all the monsters in the hall felt it. 4 words, the king returns. What about finding death? I use lessons like you to learn. Although Yanping was injured, he had an overbearing temper. After falling down, he kicked away the demon repair around him without seeing the other person, dragging him away. The chair sat down as if he were the master here. He sat down and said, just today, the elders of the Yan family, as well as many wealthy and noblemen in the Black Dragon City, I don't care if I die. Today I just want to talk about the old with the current lord of the city, my twin brother. Situation. Some of those demon practitioners knew the past, and knew in their hearts that they would not be good tonight. One by one, they wanted to escape, but suddenly, a powerful consciousness came down. It turned out to be the consciousness of the late Mahayana. As soon as this consciousness came over, all the demon monks were frightened and couldn't move their legs. The master of powerful consciousness is the elder Yan family sitting on the main seat of the high platform. He looks unchanged, holding the wine glass in his hand, said lightly but with great momentum, Yanping, you are too presumptuous. You and Yanmo, we do NT care about things, right or wrong. We do NT care about things about Black Dragon City. But do you know how to destroy the ancestors in the clan? Yanping laughed. Yan Hui, are you talking to me? It's so funny, you forgot the scene where I was beaten to find my teeth every day when I was a kid. Now I have become the elder, it's amazing. After listening to the demons, they were all amazed. This Yanping really worked. The elder was beaten by him every day. The elder suddenly became furious and cursed, Yanping. Now is the business. You need to confuse the audience with hundreds of thousands of years ago. I am going to cure you of the crime of disturbing the family affairs and running into the ancestors. Yan Ping laughed, then waved his hand, and said, elders are here, and it's not you who postpone. It's okay, then, let me tell you, who disturbed the family affairs and deceived the ancestors. Yan Mo was jabbed, jumped out, and shouted, elders, Hugh listened to his nonsense. This evil dragon has always talked viciously. Hugh has to disturb everyone's mood, and I will wait until I take him. Yanping again said, elders, although the husband was framed by an adulterer, he accidentally took the poisonous Juyomoxin lotus, so that he fell into a realm. From the Mahayana period to the perfect period, the old man is still the descendants of the Yan family. Do you have the right to speak? Do you all to this point? To say that, like Yan Ping, he patted the table with the elders and spoke, and the entire Yan family was the only one. However, Yan Ping is indeed qualified. Based on his cultivation, it should have been soared thousands of years ago. It can be said that none of the Yan family has his qualifications. More importantly, Yan Ping is domineering. The elders on the stage are his brothers and sisters. They have not been beaten by him, so they have been afraid of being beaten. Even if Yan Ping had repaired it now, they were still guilty. Finally, an elder came out and said, it's all my descendants of Yan's family. If you have something to say, we will never be partial. The other elders nodded and said yes. Yanping snorted and said, why did I stop this? It was because the guy Yanmo deceived his ancestors. It was a slapstick to recognize his ancestors. If he succeeded, my family would be killed by a joke. Yan Mo angered, Hugh wants to confuse people, what you say needs evidence. Haha, I'm in a hurry before I say that, what are you afraid of? Yan Ping sneered at Yan Mo and said, everyone knows that the old man has been in the late Mahayana period, but he has not been soaring, even looking for the sky doing exercises to delay the calamity. Do you know why? Yan Mo shouted again, that's what you know. People like you will be killed when they reach the upper realm, so stay in the lower realm and be a blessing to oppress the brothers, you asshole. I have been looking forward to you since I was young. After tens of thousands of years, it seems you are going to get out of the way, but you are still dying, and I really hate you. The heart of the villain Yan Ping snorted and said, actually, I don't want to ascend and die, there is a reason. Everyone knows that the descendants of the dragon race are very difficult. It is more difficult to plant a dragon, and it is necessary to breed. A pure-blooded dragon breed is harder and harder. God protect me, I am lucky to have Yanping. Not only has the hybrid son of the dragon fox, but also encounters the water dragon Yuning while traveling, giving me a pair of pure-blood daughters. Although they look more like water dragons, the bloodline is the authentic bloodline of the Yan family, otherwise the elders would not accept them into Yan family. Yanping snorted heavily from his nose, and said, but the mother and daughter were arrested at the time. I didn't soar, I just wanted to get them back. The Xiu here was shocked. I did not expect to hear such a fierce inside story. Dragon Fox turned out to be the son of the former city owner, and today these three mother dragons are also the wife and daughter of the former city owner. The owner of Yanmo City originally wanted to play the game of domineering wives and daughters. Shameless, shameless. And the dragon fox, who recognizes the thief as the father, is even more shameless. Yuning and Xiaoyu were both stunned. It wasn't Yanmo this time. One admits the wrong husband and one admits the wrong father. Perplexed, they didn't notice that Dao slipped out when they didn't know what. Yan Mo shouted angrily, don't talk nonsense. Dao Xiao has the Yan family's bloodline, and that's because I planted under Yanmo. Yanping laughed, you planted a seed, does your mother have a seed? Listening to his words, Yan Mo suddenly flushed with a look of panic in his eyes, but he insisted, Yanping, you must curse others. Yanping laughed, what curse? I said the truth. Back then, you fought with me, kicked me out of the egg, Haha, do you not know me? Do you touch yourself with a beard? Everyone present looked at Yan Mo's chin. If the vacuum is empty. Yan Ping laughed again. Yan Mo, you know, I didn't have a beard before, but after this incident, I began to have a beard. On the surface, it was to distinguish it from you, but in fact, I was intentionally disgusting. You, haha. After he had said these words, everyone had believed him. This Yan Mo is indeed too much, harming his brother and occupying his wife and daughter. Of course, this Yan Ping is not a good bird, kicking his brother's egg, and deliberately bearding the disgusting others. Hey, it's not a job. What happened? However, they are not humans. Yuning and Xiao Yu also believed most of them and stood up angrily and said, Yan Mo, is this true? Yan Mo didn't say anything. Yan Ping asked in the distance, is it true? You don't know, you came to the city's mansion, did he share the room with you? Yuning's mother and daughter were definitely certain, humming, and left Yan Mo, standing behind Yan Ping. Yan Ping laughed at the elders. Elders, do you guys see clearly? Who deceived the ancestors? I think you still catch Yan Mo and convict him. The 7 elders looked at each other. To tell the truth, none of them want to help Yan Ping, but until now, if they suppress Yan Ping again, they will not be able to convince the public. At this moment, the elder stood up first and said, anyway, our elders will be right. The 2 children and their mothers can join me and extend their family. As for who is your name, this is your family business. We can't control it, let's fix it ourselves. The other elders listened. Gao Hua, do not help each other, get out of the matter. Hi, really hi? If you say yes, let us know and we are gone. Speak slowly, all brothers, don't hurt your peace. Speak slowly, goodbye. 7 old guys walked away in a blink of an eye. Yan Mo raised his head, cold and electric eyes passing through several wine tables, and Yan Ping shot directly. He smiled coldly, gritted his teeth and cut his teeth. Yan Ping, you forced me. At the beginning, you forced me, I had to lie to you to give Ju Mo Xinlian. Today you forced me again, it seems that I must kill you. Although the elders did not help each other, in fact this was to help Yan Mo. Yan Ping couldn't be more complete, and he was seriously injured when using the blood sacrifice. How did he fight Yan Mo in the mid-Mahayana period? Yan Ping also knew it was bad, but his long-term domineering still kept him strong, and laughed, what will happen today and soon, kill me, I see what you will do in the future. Even if you rise to the upper world in the future, be a laughing stock. That's why I don't care. Brother Yan Mo stood up and laughed, and that laughter surrounded the hall, and there was a faint madness in it. There was no stupid person in the presence of the demon repair, and all of them panicked when he heard his smile. Master City Lord, my 18 family concubine gave birth today and said goodbye. Master, the city owner, I feel uncomfortable in the next place, shaking my body, may be sick, please let me take medicine next time. Master of the city, Xiaoguan had water dripping from his ears when he took a shower yesterday. I left it in the house to dry it today, but I didn't bring it. Please allow Xiaoguan to go back and collect ears. The demon listened, well, this excuse is good. They knelt down and scratched their heads. Master, Lord, I have no ears until I go out. Yan Mo smiled even more happily, and said, okay, you guys don't have ears when you go out, let alone keep the ears at home, anyway, their masters don't need them anymore. After Yan Mo finished speaking, the laughter stopped and he cried, Dragon Fox. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 957. Who gave the lotus flower? In. The dragon fox who has been standing and not talking has long been ready. When he raised his hand, he raised a small triangle flag and loudly said, all the guards pay attention. First, if you open the large array, everyone will go in or go out. Government, and let go. Third, notify the teleportation square that all teleportation arrays will be shut down. Huang Yalong mingled with the demon repair group, and felt that the sky was spinning around, crying, "Why am I so unlucky? I'm fine in Huaishan village, what's the fun to come here?" Other demon repairs are crying, and they are so anxious that the invitation to the birthday of the Lord's birthday was a difficult ticket, but no one knows that it will cause death. Yanping didn't expect Yanmo to be so desperate that he wanted everyone to die. He stood up angrily and said, "Yan Mo, you're mad, I'm fighting with you." Yanmo haha laughed, "I am in the middle of the Mahayana. Even if all of you go together, it is not my opponent." "Yanping, you destiny," after he said, he shouted to Yuning and Xiaoyu, "Xiao, I'll give you a chance. If you come to my side, I can never blame it, and you can still have the opportunity to join the Yan family in the future." After hearing what he said, Xiao saw hope in her desperate eyes, and turned her head and called, "Mother." But Kaining touched her head and said, "My son, your blood comes from this man in front of you, not others, you have to remember, without him, there is no you." Xiao nodded, still standing firmly behind Yanping. "Okay," Yanping laughed cheerfully, "I'm the husband's good daughter. Don't hesitate to wait for so many years." The murderous flash in Yanmo's eyes flashed coldly, "Then your family, let's die together." But at this moment, there was a clear voice from a young man in the direction of the entrance of the hall, "No, he will not die, it is you." Later, a Tsingyi boy came in slowly, with Cao Junfen standing on his right and Dao on his left. To say why Yekong is here, how can they be together with Cao Junfen Dao? This matter will take some time back. Yekong came out of the demon spirit spring, and just happened to come to find his big jade. Dao had missed her mother and sister in her heart, but now they all persuaded her to leave Yekong, and even restricted her freedom. This made Dao very disgusted, and immediately wanted Yekong to take her away. Yekong thought about it, wasn't the purpose of his trip to Dao? Now that Dao has been found, then leave, Otoki will only find it later. But it was also a coincidence that when they fled towards the gate, they just met Cao Junfen. Cao Junfen was originally afraid of meeting Yekong, so he left the hall, but did not expect to meet Yekong outside. However, at this time, something had happened in the direction of the hall, and he could not care about the other, and immediately revealed the hidden practice. Yekong looked at Cao Junfen to kill him back, of course he tried to dissuade him. But who knows, Cao Junfen was so determined to go back and let Yekong leave with Dao. Yekong asked him why, and he replied, "I have a reason to stay." Imagining Yekong nodded and said, "Well, I have a reason to stay." Cao Junfen wondered, "I'm going to accompany Yiping, what's your reason?" "Of course there is." A night wind throbbed Yekong's shutter, and he smiled lightly, "I'm going to accompany my friend." Cao Junfen only felt as if he was holding something in his throat. After a while, he nodded and said, "Friend, we will always be our best friends." The camera turns back to the lobby. Looking at Yekong and others coming back, Huang Yiping in the crowd was slightly wet, and she didn't care about other people's eyes. She ran over and yelled, "So many people here want to leave. You obviously left, but why? Come back. You leave me." Cao Junfen was pushed twice by her, but she didn't move. She looked at Huang Yiping softly and said, "Because there was a girl who hurried all night, all I did was save my life, no more." At that moment, Huang Yiping burst into tears. But all of this, in Yanmo's eyes, is so ridiculous. Dandan period. In his eyes, it is not as good as fart, he can kill a large group by raising his hand. Good to come, just right, you can die together. In the future, when you are drawing souls and refining and enjoying pain, you can also be a companion. Not to mention Yan Mo, even Yan Ping couldn't help but boo and shook his head. The kid with the last name Ye, I thought you were a smart man and took my daughter away, but who knows, stupid, stupid, I never seen someone so stupid. Ye Kong didn't think that he was embarrassed, walked with a smile, and said, Senior, don't laugh at me, I'm here to save your life. To be honest, I really don't like people like you, domineering, self-righteous, insidious and poisonous, don't take human lives in the eyes, really, I don't like it at all. Yanping stayed on for a long time, and he was deceived, and now Ye Kong pointed at his face in public and scolded him. He was very annoyed and sneered, Boy, don't think that you will come back at this time, the old man must thank you and must listen to you shit. Huh, what do I want you to save? What skills do you have to save the old man? Ye Kong laughed and said, Of course, because I have, Juya Moxenlian. Don't give it to him, Yan Mo yelled first, he counted and did not count, at this time someone would actually bring Juya Moxenlian. He shouted loudly, Boy with the last name Ye, don't give him Juya Moxenlian to him. It's a bastard, you won't end well for him. He will never thank others. Yan Ping heard Ye Kong say that Ju Mo Xinlian immediately opened her eyes, and she laughed again and again, Boy, I said last time, you are very interesting, really, you are really interesting, well, you give me Juya Moxenlian and I will forgive you for all your disrespect to me before letting you go. Yan Mo shouted over there, look at Ye, look at what he said. Look at the monsters in Heilongchinj. If he is the master of the city, they will suffer charcoal. Ye Kong said faintly, No, Lord City Lord, I see that under your rule, the monsters of the Black Dragon City have not been very satisfactory. And, what is the life and death of the monsters? Then you die. Yan Mo's voice didn't fall, and he appeared beside Ye Kong. He raised his hand in black and patted it against Ye Kong. Miscellaneous account, Yan Ping flashed and appeared next to Ye Kong almost simultaneously. His action was not to save Ye Kong, but to reach out and grab the storage ring on Ye Kong's hand. Boom, both hands fluttered empty, and Ye Kong's figure broke like Liulai. Phantom, both were shocked in their hearts, but they did not expect that there was such a real phantom, but neither of them could see such a high cultivation. The dragon fox shouted over there, he has a very powerful invisible magic weapon. Three-legged Jinwu, come out quickly. The dragon fox directed the three-footed Jinwu over there to find Ye Kong, and Yan Mo used an aggressive strategy. He laughed, Boy, you saw it? What he just wanted was not to save your life, but to rob you. The ring, the sinister heart of this person, you can't imagine. Ye Kong didn't say anything. Yan Mo went on to say, Boy, I know your purpose here. Okay, after he finished, he raised his hand and took out the sound wood from the storage ring, and said, You come here, isn't it for the sound of wood? I'll give it to you, what else do you want? You say, I give it all. Then he remembered something, and said, I know, you want animal pets, okay, I also give, not only Big Jade, but even Yuning and Xiao Yu, I also help you, let them all be you monster, what do you think? I have to say that Yan Mo's plate was quite tempting, but a voice came over, Yan Mo City Lord, you are wrong again. I am here, not wanting to sound wood, I do nt want animal pets. I just came to see Deo and see if she was happy. If so, Ye would turn around and leave without saying a word, all I want is this, that's all. The fierceness of Yan Mo's eyes appeared, and he murmured, Have you already decided? Yes. At this moment, Dragon Fox had already appeared Ye Kong and shouted, behind him, he is hiding behind the old man of Yanping. But it was too late to remind him. A piece of white lotus petals had already appeared in Yanping's palm. Ha 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 ha. Yanping swallowed the petals and laughed ecstatically. Yan Mo's eyes were full of disappointment, and he said, Yan Ping, you have a good daughter. However, at this time Ye Kong's words sounded again, wrong, Yan Mo city lord, I have to say, you are wrong again. I gave him Juyo Moxenlian, not just because of Jade, to be honest, none of you are good, but I still gave Yanping. Then why are you, Yan Mo, angered? It's for justice, Ye Kong said. Yan Mo, you secretly poisoned your elder brother, but now you are despicable inside. You can take away your wife and daughter. It's extremely bad. Extremely bad. Yan Mo growled, he's not a good thing either. Ye Kong again said, indeed, he is really not a good thing. However, I only value him a little, he fights against the calamity and does not think of ascension, the purpose is only to find his wife and daughter. Based on this, I recognize him, he is a man of affection and righteousness. Yan Mo shook his head and said, you will regret it, I promise you will regret it. And here, Yan Ping swallowed Ju Moxin Lian, and his realm had almost recovered to the Mahayana period. He laughed and said, he will not regret it. I will let him be the lord of the Black Dragon City, and I will let him marry my daughter, 2 daughters. Boy, rest assured. Ye Kong fainted, no, senior, I don't have that idea. Yanping shook his head, no, I think you think, at least I have this idea, I never discuss it with others. Yanping said, well, you take a break, I'll solve the jerk. Ang, Yanping finished, a dragon grown in his mouth, turned into a black dragon, and rushed to Yan Mo. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 958. Escape from Black Dragon City. Good time, Yan Mo pretended to be fighting, but turned around but fled. He was not Yan Ping's opponent at first, and was afraid of Yan Ping in his heart, so as soon as Yan Ping's strength returned, he did not dare to fight, and turned away. He is fast, Yan Ping is faster than him. Stop him, Yan Mo raised his hand and threw back the dragon and fox who wanted to escape with him. Don't, Long Hu groaned, looked at Yan Ping, and yelled, Daddy. Go to death. Yan Ping had no affection for the son at all, and destroyed the flesh of the dragon fox directly. And in the flesh, a dragon fox looks like a Yuan Ying, and fled. I'll go back and clean up you. Yan Ping couldn't care about dragon fox, and chased Yan Mo who escaped from the sky. After a while, 2 black dragons fought in the sky of Black Dragon City. Below, Ye Kong Yi pulled Cao Junfan and said, Junfan, hurry up. Cao Junfan said suddenly, our side has achieved a decisive victory, so why run away? Huang Yaolong who came over also said, yeah, don't care about where you offended. But I advise you, what else are you going to do at this time? Lord Yanping will come back and win everyone. You are the one who has the most credit. How can you go? The other monsters who came around also nodded and said, yeah, Lord, what are you going to do at this time? Ye Kong ignored them and pulled Cao Junfan away. He said, you haven't got along with Yanping, you don't know, that guy is really not a good thing. When he comes back, don't talk about rewards, I'm afraid he will die, it's gone. Then I will really regret it. The demon Chiu heard Ye Kong say this, and he was so scared that he didn't dare to stay anymore, and all ran out. The guards of the main city guards who had been in the battlefield had already frightened and escaped, and the large array in the hall was also left unattended. Everyone escaped along the large array gap that was flattened by Yanping in the sky. Then split up. After a while, only Yuning and Xiao remained in the hall. Xiao said, Mother, sister she. Yuning hummed, let her go if she wants to go. Anyway, the kid named Ye is very disliked. Your father is really confused, and you both married him? Really, I was still by him. Poke your ass, hum. Just say Yekong and they left the city's main house, Yekong, and everyone rushed to the transmission square. Cao Muse was already anxious over there. The sound of Yanping's breaking before made her startled and worried about what happened to Yekong. However, she was worried that if she returned, she would have trouble with Yekong again, so she had to wait patiently. But the situation is becoming increasingly critical. The guards here were notified, stopped all teleportation, and opened the formation outside the teleportation square to block the flow of people who wanted to leave. Now, there are two black dragons scrambling above Black Dragon City. Cao Mose couldn't help it, and turned to look for Yekong. Coincidentally, before walking a few steps, he encountered Yekong and others who ran over. However, in terms of escape, Huang Yaolong was the fastest. He rushed to the front, so Cao Muse saw him at a glance, was shocked, and spit out Lu Meijian and killed him. Huang Yaolong was frightened to hide away, and smiled bitterly, "Dear family, don't kill, Huang, and you are your own." Cao Muse cursed, "You old dog, who and you are your own." As he was talking, he saw Yekong and Cao Junfan all coming over. Seeing them together, Cao Mose was a little puzzled. As soon as she asked, Yekong hurriedly said, "It's a long story, wait a moment, let me talk about your situation." Close, Cao Muse opened her mouth to recover Lu Meijian and said, "I have observed it. There are a total of 200 demon repairs in the foundation period, 30 demon repairs in the Dan period, and I cannot use the demon repairs in the deformation period. The sense of induction, but according to visual inspection, I saw a total of 3 metamorphosis demon repair, do not rule out that I have not seen." Huang Yaolong first said, "There should be no more. According to what I will know about them, this ratio is normal." Yekong also nodded and said, "At present it seems that the defense is not strict. With our strength, they should not be able to stop it." However, Cao Muse raised her eyebrows and said, "Their defensive strength is really not strong, and there are still many monsters who want to escape from the Black Dragon City. They can stir it up, but, now the large array outside the transmission square is open. That big array is very defensive. If you want to attack aggressively, it will take at least an hour." That's it. Yekong frowned, and now Yanping and Yanmo didn't know where to go. Yanping's old guy would come back at any time without delay. Cao Junfan reminded, "In fact, we don't necessarily have to take a teleportation battle. We can leave Heilongqing first and fly back." Huang Yaolong shook his head and said, "No, that's too slow, millions of miles away, I don't know what year and month to fly. What's more, the towns and villages along the way are all connected with Heilongqing. If Yanping orders, we will simply unable to cope with chasing." Yekong nodded. "Actually, Junfeng said it was a solution, but let's first instigate the demon monks to bombard the battle." Dao said, "Why don't I cheat?" Yekong nodded. "I only tried it." Soon, several people came outside the teleportation square, where hundreds of monsters have gathered. These monsters have escaped from the city's main government, and there are also people who don't know the truth. In short, everyone is shouting and yelling outside the large array, and they want to quickly leave this ghost place. In the large array, the 3 demon corrections were waiting for the guards to guard the formation. Outside, there was a shout that knew the leading demon Jiu, "Hey, surname Ao, now the city owner is chased and killed by his former city owner. I do not know yet, why are you so serious, just let me wait to leave." The Ao family in Heilongqing is also a big family. They have a close relationship with the Yan family, but the relationship between the two is not very good. The Ao family is not strong enough in the flood and they cannot fight the Yan family. The demon Chiu named Ao laughed, "Since the lord of the city is unknown, I can't afford to be lazy. At the moment, the city of lords is chaotic and unguarded, and there are so many treasures there. After a while, I fled from here again, Wouldn't I have to bear the crime of negligence in the future? Yahalo wrote, "This guy is really poisonous, this is unknown to remind everyone to go back and rob the city's main government." Sure enough, some demon Jiu were tempted, quietly left the crowd, and took advantage of the darkness to kill back to the main city. However, most of the demon repairs didn't leave. After all, the master of the city is too high, and the two black dragons are not good people. No matter who wins, they must be investigated. Yekong brought Dao to the front and shouted, "Who do you know, Dao Wu, who is Ao? I tell you, this is the eldest daughter of the lord of the city. No matter who is the lord of the city in the future, she will those who joined Yan's family, now she is going to enter, please let me wait." It was said that Dao was banned from footing after entering the government. The surname Ao really didn't know it, of course. Even if he knew it at the moment, he didn't know it. The demon Jiu Ao laughed, "Human monk, even if you say the sky is falling, I won't let you enter. If you want to enter the teleport, unless the Lord of the Lord's card. Yekong and others can't do anything about it now, let's all together, don't delay time, storm it." But at this time, a woman's voice came from behind, "The waste card is here, open the big array, and resume the transmission completely." Yekong looked back, but now Xiao is here. He did not expect Xiao to come and help him, wondering, "What do you want to do?" Xiao said angrily, "I can take you away, what else can I do?" Yekong said, "I don't believe you have such kindness." Xiao lamely said, "I don't want to marry this ugly kid who hasn't been cultivated. The farther you go, the better." "Oh, that's it." Yekong was relieved, then took the can of shaped water out of the storage ring and threw it to her. Xiao retrieved the water of transformation, a joy in her heart, threw the token to Yekong, and also said, "Thank you, brother-in-law." Dao flushed suddenly, pulling her sister to say farewell. Although they had opposite tempers, they were sisters, after all, their eyes were red. The demon caller surname Ao in the large array saw the token and had no choice but to open the large array and roared, "Everyone cues to transmit in order. Mother asked me to give this to you so that he would be better for you." Xiao gave Dao another storage bag, and then left with tears. Then, everyone paid the spirit stone, received the teleportation symbol, and entered the teleportation array. White light flickered, and long-distance transmission began. Entering the teleportation space, Cao Muse breathed a sigh of relief. She hobbled her head very femininely, and said, "I hope this time I don't encounter the space beast." Everyone else hasn't heard of any space beast. They all look at Yekong and Cao Muse. Yekong looked at Cao Muse's beautiful eyes and laughed, "In fact, I hope to meet the space beast." Yekong's meaning is obvious. If it wasn't for the space beast, how could Master give a kiss and show his thoughts? Cao Muse suddenly red face floated, and said in her heart that she was going to die. This kid actually seduced me in public. Seeing the pretty look of Cao Muse's young daughter's house, everyone present was confused. The ground is very sacred. How can a woman be shy when she says that? Could it be a dirty monster? But then, Yekong didn't conceal, and told the last time he encountered the space beast. Of course, the plot with Cao Muse is hidden. After listening to it, Dao sighed, "I was still a little bit guilty, and my biological father left without saying the last sentence. Now I listen to you, I feel relieved. He is so bullying. If we stay, we will provoke big trouble." Huang Ye alongside, walking in Yanmo, "Here is Yanping, alas, it is not a good thing. I hope that someone like Yedai will become the master of the city." Yekong shook his head quickly. "Don't listen to Yanping nonsense. I don't want to be the master of the city." Cao Muse listened to Huang Yealong's words, thought of something, and looked cold, and said, "Huang Yealong, there is time now, can you speak clearly? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck." How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 959. Emperor Reign. Huang Yaolong nodded and said everything that happened later that day. Of course, he would not say the purpose of imprisoning Cao Junfen, but only ask Cao Junfen to return to Huaishan village as a guest. Huang Yaolong said nicely, but Ye Kong and they were not stupid, and knew Huang Yaolong's true purpose. But now Cao Junfen and Huang Yiping are just like Lang Lang, they do not expose Huang Yaolong. After listening to Huang Yaolong's brief introduction, Cao Muse took a look at Huang Yiping, and then spoke with Cao Junfen. Ye Kong didn't want to care about this, so he pulled Dao to the side and said, "Dao, that spirit beast circle is broken. Well, this is a bad thing and a good thing. From then on, you are no longer my beast pet." Dao, who had lowered her head, heard the last sentence, and she suddenly changed her color. She looked up and said, "My son, isn't Dao bad? I will be more obedient. Don't drive me away." "You misunderstood what I meant." Ye Kong pulled over Dao's hand. "I'm not driving you away, but I don't want you to be my beast pet. Since then, we are still together, but the identity has changed, you are my friend." "Friend?" Dao shook her head, feeling a bit uncomfortable. "Otherwise, how about we become brothers and sisters?" Ye Kong thought again. Huang Yaolong over there laughed. "Ye Dao is indeed a person of righteousness. Although human beings and monsters have cultivated Jinlan a lot, I have never heard of anyone worshipping their beast pets. Ye Dao is so kind, the master of Shaocheng don't refuse." "I'm not a little city master," Dao humbled. "My heart was beating a little faster, and since then I have been my son's sister? Good or bad? The advantage is that you can follow the sun justified, but it's not good, there is nothing wrong with it. You can follow the sun. Why ask for extra money?" Thinking of this, Dao nodded and yelled generously, "Brother," and raised his arm and said, "Whoever provokes my brother, I will slap him. The surname is Huang, and just now I heard you say you want to kill my brother winning a treasure?" Huang Yaolong was frightened and took a breath of air. He misunderstood his mouth and quickly hid behind Cao Junfen. Dao just scared Huang Yaolong and didn't really want to hit him, but Ye Kong now understands why Dao has such a bit of violent blood, and the daring is the blood of Yanping's old guy. At first it was still blame Huang Quan's ancestor for bringing bad jade. Now it seems that he blame him wrongly. At this moment, Dao suddenly remembered something, took out a storage bag, and handed it to Ye Kong, saying, "My son, this is my mother for you." Ye Kong didn't answer, he smirked angrily, "Another son?" Dao laughed and yelled, holding Ye Kong's arm, "Brother." "Ah, younger sister," Ye Kong answered with a smile, but felt soft on his arm. He was in a rush, and Dao had grown up. However, when Ye Kong took the storage bag, he looked into it, and suddenly he thought it was empty, and his face was surprised. At that time, the situation was chaotic. "I didn't pay attention to this thing, I thought Yan Mo was put away." "I didn't expect it to be obtained by your mother," Ye Kong nodded. Dao laughed, "Yeah, if it weren't for this thing, we wouldn't necessarily go to Heilongchange. If we didn't get this thing, wouldn't we be running for nothing?" Ye Kong smiled and pinched her nose and said, "Even if you can't get this sound wood, you can't say that you ran away. Tell you, this is a great trip for my brother." Dao laughed. "Brother won't go empty-handed." Ye Kong angered, "Hey, what are you talking about? It seems that you are the kind of person who must grab the mud when you fall down. Am I like that?" At this moment, the teleportation happened to Qingxi town. A white light flashed. A 14-year-old girl giggled and ran out of the teleportation field, and said, "Like someone like that? You're that kind of person." Ye Kong followed, angrily, "Dead girl, Brother is not the kind of person who cares about a small belly. Watching them come out, the demon repairing the teleportation team took a look, and hurriedly greeted him, saying, "It's senior yet. We Mayor Huaiquei is in the room over there. Would you like to meet?" Yekong nodded and let the demon repair the way. Dao knew Huaiquei in the Five Elements formation. Now I heard that Huaiquei is the mayor, and I am very happy. Soon everyone met. Huaiquei was also very happy. He liked the polite little water dragon that year. Now that Daohua has become a half-old girl, he even said, "I can't recognize it." Yekong asked, "Brother Huai, in the middle of the night you do NT practice or sleep, what do you do next to the teleportation team?" Huaiquei laughed, "I still want to ask you. The teleportation team leading to the Black Dragon City has not been closed for many thousands of years. Today it should be the birthday of the city's owner, but the teleportation team suddenly shuts down. I guess there must be major events, so I came here specifically to wait for those who came back from the first group. I didn't expect to be you." Yekong said, "Of course there is something big, tell you, the main replacement of the city." "Oh? This is a big deal, go to my house at the moment." Huaiquei asked everyone to return to his house and set down a surprise feast. Yekong would tell the general scene. After listening to it, Huaiquei said, "The book says that the tiger poison does not eat a child, and that the child is not considered ugly, and the dog is not considered poor. I never imagined that the dragon fox turned out to be such a person." Huaimu was wrong. Dao laughed. "Uncle Huai has read a lot of books. I liked to listen to his stories when I was a kid. I do nt know if someone is jealous," and said rudely, yeah, Uncle Huai has a book with a lot of paintings on it." Huaiquei laughed, "Your kid just doesn't spare people. Is there anything I can't see?" The two joked for a while. Yekong said, "Brother Huai, in fact today's meal is not only a banquet arranged by you but also a resignation banquet we have waited for. After eating, we will immediately go on our way back to Kangnan." Huaiquei was surprised. "Last time you hurried to Heilongchinj, this time you just came back and left in a hurry. It can be said that there is a rush and a rush, so that you have no chance to entertain your brother. The book says." Occasionally saying in the book is okay, always speaking in the book is boring. Yekong busy said, "Brother Huai, I do nt want to cross the line, the key is that Yanping. When he solves Yanmo, I am in trouble now. Well, good things can't be done these days." Oh, Huaiquei sighed. "Actually, Huai Mao didn't insist on staying with you, but the day after tomorrow, there will be an opportunity for heaven to descend. It's a pity that you are in a hurry to leave." The chance of heaven falling, everyone brightened, busy looking at Huaiquei. Yekong also said with interest, "Brother Huai, how can you tell me that there is a chance for heaven to fall?" Huaiquei laughed, "I was in a hurry last time and I was dragged to draw a wedding photo. I forgot to say, actually, although I am the town mayor, I also like to go out and travel. When I saw my younger sister that day, it happened to be it was this opportunity that returned to town." Speaking of this, everyone looked at Cao Muse, and did not know the master in Yekong's mouth. Why is Huaiquei called a sibling? Cao Mose suddenly flushed, without knowing what to say. A pair of embroidered feet kicked Yekong hard. Yekong understood, and haha laughed, "Brother Huai, what do you want these guys to do? You still tell us about the opportunity of this heavenly fall." Huaiquei nodded and said, "There are many rolling hills not far from Qingxi town. This mountain is called Uniang Mountain. The mountain occasionally produces a kind of spiritual fluid called Emperor Liujiang. You all know this, but you do nt know. Every 30,000 years, it suddenly explodes. At this time, Huang Yaolong sounded something, busy, imperial rain. After that, he patted his head and said, no wonder the old man has so many assholes, and he doesn't go to the Black Dragon City to offer treasure. It turned out to be waiting here Emperor Rain. This old boy is really a bastard, he doesn't tell me. Huai nodded and smiled, it is Emperor Rain. When it bursts, Emperor Liujiang, who cherished the incomparable, will appear everywhere in the mountains, as if numerous green raindrops are hanging in the air, whoever snatches them, but if it falls on the ground, or on people's clothes, it will become ordinary water droplets. Cao Muse, who had already tasted the benefits of Emperor Liu's pulp, was surprised, her eyes widened. Before that, she thought about going with Yekong to find that Emperor's running slurry, so that Ho Yekong could also improve. It is just that the Emperor's running slurry is too difficult to find. For such a large mountain, I don't know where a drop will appear for 10 or 8 days, so it takes a great opportunity. But now it's different. Emperor Lu is everywhere, covered with sky. Cao Muse said, Junfan, you asked me just now, why did you upgrade from the 8th floor of Jadan to Jadan's great consummation so quickly? Now I tell you that it is the efficacy of this Emperor's slurry. Cao Junfan was shocked. Eating that drop of water can raise 2 levels? This Emperor is very useful. Huai said, the Emperor's flow is a treasure of heaven and earth, but it is too difficult to find, and the storage method is very strange, so it is not widely spread outside. And the news of the Emperor's reign is only spread around, after all, 30,000 years only once, who would remember those old fairies who have lived for a long time? So this time is a great opportunity. Huang Yaolong overjoyed, it is indeed a good opportunity. It seems that I can also move forward on the road of cultivation. I can grab more points when I can, and I can go up a few more levels. Huai shook his head and said, in fact, Emperor Liushui is not an ascending spiritual fluid according to the book, it has 2 main functions. One is the washing of the pulp and the classics, which is very effective in breaking the bottleneck. It helps. But if you use it too much, it won't work, because your meridians are already open, and it will be useless to drink it. However, there is a second benefit to him, it is the holy medicine for healing, whether you are detoxification or various bad conditions, can be lifted. Unless it is the ancient poisonous Juyomoxinlian, it can be lifted. Cao Muxian looked dark and said, it doesn't seem to work for me. Huai laughed. Then you can save it and use it later when you are poisoned or injured. Cao Muse thought of the preservation method that was almost BT, and said with a bitter smile, that's fine. Yekong also wanted to get Emperor Liu, but he calmly thought, but shook his head, to get Emperor Liu and avoid Yanping, I would prefer the latter. Huai laughed, I have a way to make you both. To the reader. The 4th chapter is served bricks recommended tickets, as well as subscription and rewards, let's go, haha. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 960. 2 leopard fighters. Both can be both. Not only do you avoid Yanping, but you also get Emperor Liu's pulp. There is also such a good thing, brother Huai, let's talk about it. Huai smiled mysteriously, and said, he can stop the teleportation team over Black Dragon City, and we can also repair the teleportation team. Okay, everyone laughed. Black Dragon City can close the teleportation array, and there can also be an excuse to close it. Yanping will not be able to teleport by then. Yekong thought about it and said, the idea is good, but there are 2 problems. First, after the deification, you can enter Kangming. A Mahayana and Mahayanas such as Yanping can completely travel around Kangming. If you fly from Kangming, it is fundamental much faster than teleporting. Huai laughed, it doesn't need to worry about it. It is different from the outside in the flood, standing in Kangming, and looking at the chaos here, there is no way to determine the location, so Yanping had to borrow our Qingxi town when he went to Heilong change the teleportation array. Yekong nodded. If this is fine, there are two other things. I'm afraid that after this incident, you will be implicated. Huaiquei laughed. I have long considered that I have already found a scapegoat. Oh. Huaiquei laughed. Since everyone is interested, I will deploy it. The moonlight was clear and sprinkled on the bald mountain like frost. A bleak night breeze blew, and after a black big stone, a black shadow suddenly flew out. The black shadow circled in the sky and disappeared into the dark air. Mumbling, there were a few beeping sounds in the grass, and the place was quiet again. However, on the surface of the hill that seemed to be uninhabited, at this moment light and shadow flashed, but several figures were exposed. Standing in front are Yekong and Huaiquei. Huaiquei smiled. The bat demon has been investigated, and the 3 dirt leopards will break out from here. Then we suddenly appear, and they have nowhere to run, and there is only one way here, that is, to the city. As long as when they enter the city, they will definitely go to the teleportation team and want to leave from there. As long as Huang Yaolong drags them on for a while and a half, we can rush them out after we arrive. Yekong laughed. The most important thing is to let the leopard bandits destroy the teleportation team. Both laughed. In the underground cave house of Tooting Mountain, a black bat shot like a blast of electricity. In front of the stone gate of the cave house, it slammed and turned into a green-looking demon. After a while, the little demon ran into the hall of Dongfu, where 3 leopards were sitting around a stone table in trouble. Le Bo attacked annoyed. Siege without attack, what does this mayor of Qingxi town mean? It has been several days. Le Tong's temper was even hotter, cursing, the tree demon surnamed Hui, we have no resentment and hatred, why should he do it to us? What abomination! Le Nan, the second son of some smart people, said, I have sent someone to inquire that the human monks we robbed last time are the descendants of the big human family of the Black Dragon City. Huaiquei naturally wanted to make a fart. Some days ago, someone seeing with his own eyes Huaiquei sent the pair of men and women into the teleportation team, and the brothers were commensurate. Slap, Libo slaps the stone table with a slap, and cursed, I hate Huang Yaolong and the old man of the oldest. Now they are all right, our brothers haven't got any benefits, but they have to blame them. Slay it! Slay it! Le Nan advised, the elder brother must not be angry. What he wants to do now is how to get through this difficult time. Just when the bat monster ran in, he knelt down and said, 3 kings, the news came. Le Bai gave a big hand, speak. The bat demon said, I heard that Monk Ye has returned from Black Dragon City tonight. Later, the mayoral guards who besieged the cave house also strengthened their strength and seemed to want to attack. Sure enough, Le Tong gave a high-fashioned curse, no wonder the Huaisha demon has not moved, and he dares to kill us in front of the surname yet. Really despicable. Vicious. Le Nan nodded and asked, did you see clearly, which side has more people and which side has fewer people? The bat monster replied, there are people all around, the only place that is not besieged is the road to Qingxi town. Le Tong said, well, let's kill Qingxi town together, grab the teleportation team, and escape to the Black Dragon City. Le Nan groaned for a while and waved back the bat demon. Then he said, the bat demon can see the slackness there, and it is clear that he intentionally exposed the flaws, trying to entice me into the trap. Robber nodded and said, then we will break through from what seems to be the strongest defense. No, Le Nan shook his head again. Le Bo asked, where do you say you broke out? Le Nan smiled, that tree demon is already a demon repair period, plus those human monks who have great powers, maybe they will also bring some powerful helpers from Heilongqing, where we broke out is a death word. Le Bai hurriedly said, no way to escape, this is how good. How is it good? Le Nan's eyes flashed fiercely, saying, the only way to do this is to pretend to be in the middle, enter the trap, fight for them, delay time, and let the third brother escape. Li Bai's face also showed resoluteness. Yes, this will give you the opportunity to take revenge. Third brother, you must escape and explain everything to the master and take revenge for us. That night, after some tears, Libo Lenin led a group of little monsters into Qingxi town, where the fire was killing the sky, and the old and weak monsters in Dongfu were desperately resisting. But in the end, Ye Kong and Li Tong were gone. Hui Kui said, no matter what, a leopard in the early days of transformation cannot escape, but now we are the oldest and the second. Libo Lenin is also strange. It would not reasonably let them kill the town, but how could they easily come in? Li Nan waved, no matter, children, kill the teleportation team, let's escape together. The little demons also red-eyed, and when they saw people, they killed all the way to the teleportation array, and they didn't even have decent resistance. Li Bai was overjoyed, really help me too. Rob the teleportation team, everyone fled. The defensive teleportation team was all built by the base monsters. When they saw them killing, they fled in the wind, and even escaped the defensive formation. Li Bai laughed, it's all wine bags and rice bags. I knew that the city defense was so weak. We had already plundered in the city. Li Nan advised, those who talk about it later, we still leave, I always feel wrong. But when they came out of the teleportation team, something very bad happened. The teleportation array was destroyed. Broke half. At this time, countless guards appeared and yelled, the leopard bandit destroys the teleportation team, and his crime is to death. Robe yelled, is there such a bad thing? I won't break the teleportation team if I break anything. Li Nan smiled bitterly, I think I understand. We're backhanded again. That's right, but you weren't good guys at all, who wouldn't you back? In a faint voice, a young boy in Xianxia emerged from the night mist. Legia brothers, your way to escape, draw a full stop here. Ye Kong opened his mouth, a crystal clear grey-white flying sword shot out. Li Bai laughed, you child, you defeated, how dare you fight me? Ye Kong laughed and said, you are defeated, but how can you say that? How many of you were on that day? If it was 1-on-1, or 1-on-2, Yema is not in your eyes. Li Nan sneered, although we are all just in the early stages of transformation, but they are also equivalent to the early days of human infants. Do you want to kill the two of us at the end of the first dan? It's a joke. With skill, you don't need anyone to help. Ye Kong laughed, do you want to hit me with less aggressive tricks? Okay, I'll be hit by you once. Ye Kong raised his head and said loudly, no one is allowed to shoot. If I lose, let them go. Li Bai was overjoyed, isn't this kid stupid? He knows he's fooled. Not far away, Hui Kui stood frowning, brother Ye is extraordinary in strength. If he fights one, he will be assured. But fighting two at the same time may be a bit bigger. Cao Muse smiled and said, brother Hui don't have to worry. He never does anything unsure. Cao Junfan shouted, Ye Kong, you are the most authentic. Huang Yalong looked at Cao Junfan and yelled, what a mess. Huang Yiping wondered, if he can't fight, shall we let them go? Dao hid his mouth and smiled, then you just wait to be scolded by the sun. He rarely talks. Listening to their words, the Legia brothers looked at each other, and there was a sentence in their eyes, that is, fight. Roar, Li Bai opened his mouth and roared, his upper body slumped to the ground, showing the body of the leopard, a pair of eyes looked at Ye Kong opposite. With the same roar, Li Nan also showed his original shape, and two yellow-haired golden leopards appeared. Dead, Lop roared, his long tail yanked on the ground behind him. Pop, as if the whip was pulled off, a layer of loess trembled on the ground, as if it were earth-colored smoke, but these smoke did not disperse for a long time, and the protective layer generally wrapped around Libo's body. Earth Shield, it turns out that you are Earth monsters, so your Earth Leopard is right. Yekong smiled coldly, pointing at the Kangbei cold fire sword, and the crystal clear sword suddenly grew to 3 feet. A wave of off-white cold fire at the point of the sword was also beating. Yekongdeo said, "The first time I tried the sword, let you see it." At the same time, Le Nan also cast the Earth Shield spell, and both leopards were hiding in the hazy dust of yellow. Hello. Suddenly, 2 leopards roared at the same time, and saw countless yellow hazy, money-shaped lights and shadows, like a torrential rain hit the opposite. Howling Wolf King said, "This is a bit similar to my wind blade, so let me fight against the enemy." Yekong ignored him, but pointed at staring at the Kangbei cold fire sword. His lips and teeth moved, and he uttered a word, shock. I saw the grey transparent sword turning over and boom. During the roar, I saw a circle of frost and cold air visible to the naked eye, blasting around with the ground inserted as the center. Everywhere I went, it was bitter. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 961. 9 or 60. Wake up, old demon. Within a few hundred meters, it seems to have entered the cold winter, and the cold is the cold that penetrates the bone marrow. Yekong's friends are also in this range. Except that Huaykuaxiu is tall, Dao is good, and does not feel strong, everyone else feels that the whole body is poured through cold water. Huang Yaolong was no exception. He could not help exclaiming, "What a magic weapon, it is so overbearing." As for Huang Yiping, who was the weakest, he couldn't bear it anymore. He was backed by Cao Junfen. They couldn't take it anymore, and those earth money darts that flew over were even more shocked. The cold air that was blown up all became dust and rustled to the ground. The 2 leopards looked at each other, a little frightened, and had never seen such a powerful weapon. "Come on," Li Bai shouted. The 2 brothers spread their legs, rushing forward and backward. Leopard is the fastest animal. Of course, this isn't the case with the planet Zakang, but in comparison, the leopard is still fast. But Yekong ignored the 2 leopards rushing, but raised his sleeves and hit another trick against the Kangbei cold fire sword inserted diagonally on the ground. Another word of truth, get up. Boom. This boom was not the sound of a burst of bombardment. But the flames burst out suddenly. I saw, on the circular ground with Yekong as the center and a diameter of 500 meters, a raging flame suddenly rose. This circular ground is like a huge round brazier. The only difference is that these flames are all off-white. The off-white symbol of death. It's so cold, even if Cao Muse couldn't bear it this time. Huang Yaolong and Dao both went out. Only Huaikui, who was in a distracting period, didn't matter. They can leave, and those robbers can't leave. There are guards around it. They will be killed when they rush out, and they will be frozen to death if they don't go out. One by one, bouncing in the grey-white flames. The flame jumped in Yekong's pupils. He was in a blue shirt, standing in the center of the white flame, with wide robes and large sleeves, and no wind automatically. Leopard, die. Yekong suddenly turned over and leaped, and the Kangbei cold fire sword inserted on the ground followed the pattern, drawing a bright white arc, and fell into Yekong's hands. Boom. Yekong even held a cold fire sword and rushed to the front with Li Bai. You know, the monsters are playing with thick skin and dry skin, so monks like to control the weapon and fight with them from a long distance. It would be a loss if I bumped it. In particular, Li Bai's repair is higher than Yekong. But under Yekong's 5 powerful Jin Dans, the monster repair in the early days of transformation was nothing to him. Li Bai's body was settled in one click. No, it was frozen. His leopard eyes widened inconceivably. He had yellow hair all over his body, and his 2 front paws were still in a slammed state, but he was motionless, like a sculpture, an ice sculpture. Li Nan, who was behind him, looked at his elder brother inconceivably, but he did not expect that his elder brother in the early days of transformation could not afford to be a blow from the 8-layer kid. No, no, the elder brother must have calculated the plan and lied to him. But Yekong soon made him desperate. Yekong stretched out his hand, curled his index finger beside his thumb, reached in front of Li Bai, and bounced lightly on his forehead, very softly. No response. A joy in Li Nan's heart. But then, a subtle sound was enough to make his heart pounding dash click. A crack suddenly appeared on Leopard's forehead, and then the crack spread like a spider's web, growing more and more, to his whole body. Boom! The icings writhed like dust, and Li Bai's body shattered into countless small pieces of ice, shattering. Li Nan has never seen such a terrifying spell in his life. It is too powerful, too shocking, and too visually shocking. He never waited again, turned over, and leaped, and fled. However, how could Yekong let him escape? Kang Bei Hanhuo's sword came out, Yekong pointed at the void, ill. Another ice sculpture appeared, but this time it appeared in mid-air, and when he dropped it, the ice was splashing all over the place. Don't say Huan Yaolong was panicked and sighed, fortunately, his daughter and Junfan are getting better, otherwise this evil star will be difficult to cope with. Hui Kui was also touched by heart. When they met that year, Yekong was only a minor repairer of gas. Later, he met again, and he never saw Yekong's shot. Therefore, he did not expect that Yekong had these magical powers in the past 20 years. Means, is simply shocking. Afraid of being attacked by the cold, Huan Yiping, who had stood far away, looked at Yekong's means, and couldn't help but startled her eyes. I'm so powerful. I never thought that the magic weapon of Monk Jidan could be so powerful. If I made a real antibiochemical dragon sword, its power is not under him, Cao Junfan blurted out, but then shook his head and sighed. I wanted to go to Heilongchinj to find a dragon soul, but I didn't expect to go there for nothing. Alas, the beast is not something I can hunt at this level, even a fake beast. Over there, Hui Kui has arranged for people to deal with the aftermath, while Yekong walked over with a smile and said to Cao Junfan, Junfan, it's over here, let's go back to the mayor's office, just right, some words I want to talk to you. This night, after so many battles, by the time Yekong and they returned to the mayor's house, the sky was gradually getting bright. Standing on the rock in the mayor's house, Yekong looked at a rising round of Jinyang in the distance and said faintly, the sunrise is as magnificent as the sunset, but I prefer to watch the sunrise. Every time I see that round of the sun jumped out of the horizon, I will feel that my heart suddenly gave birth to an inexplicable touch. At first, I did not understand what it was, but then I gradually understood, that is because it brings hope, and light, sweeps away the darkness we have accumulated at night. Yekong turned his head and asked, do you understand, Junfan? The sun shone on Cao Junfan's face, and he nodded, I see, although the main responsibility is in that mirror, but if there is no jealousy in my heart, I will not be tempted by him. He is like a demon, only when there are flaws in his heart can he be useful. Yekong nodded and patted Cao Junfan's shoulder. In fact, that's what he wanted to say. Now that Cao Junfan has understood, there is no need to say it again. Then, he took out the beast's soul pupa, gave a gentle shake, and summoned Howling Wolf King, and then said, take it out. Howling Wolf King with a wolf face muttered, I have not eaten such a powerful soul. You will eat it in the future. Yekong stretched out his hand. When Cao Junfan didn't know why, Xiaofeng Wolf King opened his mouth and a little Yuanying fell on Yekong's hand. The Yuanying looked at the person in front of him in horror. He had the head of a dragon, the tail of a fox. The babies of the dragon fox, Cao Junfan screamed silently. Yekong pinched the dragon fox's Yuanying, put a spell on him, packed it in a wooden box, and raised his hand to Cao Junfan. Cao Junfan froze, give me. He was unbelievable, although the dragon fox was not a purebred beast. However, he has more than half of the blood of the dragon family, plus his distracting cultivation. Such a UN infant, if you go to Kangnan, it is unimaginable, and I do not know how many major monks in the late UN infant can work hard for this. And Yekong, so fluttering, gave it to himself. Not even a word. Yekong looked at his unbelief and smiled. He pulled Cao Junfan's hand and put the wooden box in his palm. Cao Junfan quickly shook his head and said, "No, this thing is also very useful to you." "What do I need?" Yekong rolled his eyes and said, "I saw the dragon fox being bombed and killed by Yan Ping and Yuan Ying fled. I thought you needed a soul-cultivating magic weapon. Although this is not a real dragon, but it's a lot better than the spirits of Xianxia, so that's why the Wolf King catches them." It turned out that he remembered himself from the beginning. Even if he betrayed him, he did not forget. "Thank you." Cao Junfan held the wooden box in his hand tightly, his eyes flashed. "What a good friend, this is a real friend. How can such a friend be willing to betray him?" "Oh, I have a gift for you." Cao Junfan suddenly remembered something. Then he took a mirror with a golden charm out of the storage bag and said, "That thing has been sealed in me, and he can't escape under the trapped charm." Yekong looked at the mirror with great joy. To know that he hadn't figured out what this thing was, he could draw the reason from this thing in the future. Why did he deal with himself deliberately? "Thank you." Yekong took the mirror. With a smile, Cao Junfan punched Yekong and cursed, "What are you saying? Thank you, friends." Yekong laughed, "Hey, is that what you said first, right? I have never seen such a shameless person." Cao Junfan also cursed with a smile, "You are shameless. Honestly explain, what is the situation with my aunt? Otherwise, I will tell you when I go back." Yekong was furious and shouted, "Your boy dare to tell you I will freeze you into ice cubes." Cao Junfan laughed and ran down the rockery and shouted, "Everyone pay attention, Yekong is going to kill someone." At the same time, thousands of miles away, a white bone base hen. This place is called White Bone Mountain. For the surrounding monsters, this is their forbidden area and their dead place. There is an old demon living here, and I don't know when the old demon came, but since he came here, it has become a place of bones. The old demon is not a demon monk, he is a human monk, a very powerful demon monk. It is said that his demon enchantment is the world of bones, so he made the mountain where he lived, and made the bones more dense. These large and small skeletons, some are huge leg bones cut into the soil, some are giant ribs that look like giant spines. These are all put here by the old devil after killing the demon repair. For the past demon repair, it's a warning. For the old demon, it's a show-off. Although these bones can be used as materials for refining tools, absolutely no one dares to come here to take them. It is better to hunt and kill the bones here. The risk factor of hunting is much smaller. This deified human monk professed to awaken the old demon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 962. 961 Yunyang Mountain. The waking old demon is the master of the three brothers of Legia. At that time, the three brothers of Legia were still three little leopards. They were the pets that Wake Laoji brought back to play. Later, the three brothers of Legia were transformed, so they left Begishan. Before leaving, the awakening old devil also passed on a set of 3 talents with a combination of 3 talents, which was used to deal with the demon monster. Li Tong escaped from the siege circle and rushed here to get the master to awaken the old demon to avenge the 2 brothers. Sure enough, the awakening old demon heard that the 2 apprentices were killed, and the thunder was angry. It's terrible. Even my apprentice who awakens the old dare to kill, who did it? The waking old roared, shaking the bones on the whole bone. Le Tong knelt and cried and said, "It is the mayor of Qingxi town, the demon Jiu Huaikui. Oh, and there is a monk named Yakong from Heilongqing city. I heard that the monk has some status in Heilong city, and Huaikui is in order to please the surnamed Ye, this besieged us. I heard that the big family of the Black Dragon city could not help frowning, and asked, what are they doing? Le Tong said, Huaikuixiu is the highest. It is the early stage of distraction. The surnamed Ye is the 8th layer of Dan. Oh, there are two enemies, Huang Yaolong of Huaishan village. He is in the middle of transformation. Old man, it's late metamorphosis. The waking old devil roared, choose the important thing, and say what the end result is, say that cultivation is the best. Le Tong hurriedly said, Master, the most powerful cultivation is Huaikui. Except that he is in the distracting period, there is no other thing. Although the surname of Ye is low, there is a little magical power. No matter how great the magical power is, it is as fragile as white paper in the face of absolute strength. When the waking old demon heard that the other party had only one early distraction, it was natural to relax. Killing these people in front of his middle-aged monk is indeed as easy as tearing a few blank sheets of paper. Master, revenge my brother, Le Tong knelt and wept. Relax, today, no, go tomorrow. Awakening, the old devil nodded and said to himself, I was not interested in that Emperor slurry reign, but since this is the case, then go for it. It is estimated that tomorrow there will be a lot of demon repairs there. Well, when I am on Bego Mountain, I will add a lot of white bones. Haha, it looks really good. The next day, early in the morning. In the hall of the mayor's office, Ye Kong and others have been prepared. Cao Junfan was worried and asked, Brother Huai, we're going now, will it be late? Huaikui laughed, no, according to. He hadn't said yet, Dao said mischievously, according to the book. Everyone all laughed, and Huaikui's face turned red, and she scolded her head. This girl is no better than before. It was originally said in the book. After everyone laughed, Huaikui said again, it is recorded in the book that the rain of the imperial pulp is contained in the dewdrop shape of the morning mist at the peak of midnight yin, and the rain comes at noon of the day and when the yang is at its peak. Oh, that's it, let's get out. Everyone flew up with their own instruments. Huaikui was the land snake here, and there were more than 100 people carrying flags and parachutes, holding the mayor's plaque. Yin Yang Mountain. The mountain is not high, but the area is not small. It stretches for hundreds of miles. The rolling hills are lush and green. However, this forest is different from other places. The trees here are high and low, the tallest are particularly high, and the lowest are particularly low. Moreover, the tallest are particularly thin, the shortest are particularly fatty, and the tall trees and short trees are separated from each other. It makes people look awkward. Everyone came here for the first time, and Dao was very curious, and asked, why is this happening? I feel like seeing a group of short fat people mixed in thin people. Huang Yaolong laughed first. This peculiar one is because this mountain is called Yunyang Mountain. The reason why this mountain is called Yunyang Mountain is because here, yin and yang are very strong. Those tall are yang muo, they are nurtured by yang, so they are thin and tall. The short ones are yin wood. They are nourished by yin, so they are very fertile, but they are afraid of the yang in the sky, so they do not want to grow tall. Oh, Ye Kong and others all nodded. The flood was really magical, but in the magic, it contained the laws of heaven and earth. Dao asked again, why are yin and yang woods? Huang Yaolong replied, yin wood and yang wood are said to be moisturized by yin or yang, not referring to tree species. Any tree here may become yin or yang. Ye Kongtu wondered, if I have a magic weapon that requires millennium peach wood, then I use the millennial overwood peach and millennium carambola here, plus the common millennium peach from other mountains, so I can make 3 kinds of magic weapons. Is it different? Huang Yaolong smiled bitterly, I don't know about it. You can try it later, but all the yin and yang mountains are made of cork and miscellaneous trees, and at best you can only make good products. At this time, Cao Muse said, it is true. I thought about it at the time, but when I saw that there was no good wood, I dispelled my thoughts. However, the Yunyang mountain is really special. The foot of the mountain and the top of the mountain are for people. It feels completely different. Ye Kong laughed, if it weren't for this strange scene where yin and yang are adjacent to each other, there would be no magical fluid like Emperor Liashui. They said, continue to fly forward, there is a highest mountain there, has been occupied in advance by Huai Sent, it is said that it is the best place to receive Emperor Rain. Flying and flying, Ye Kong and other talents noticed that there are so many monsters in this mountain. Those demon repairs, one person occupied an overcast tree, sat at the top of the tree, and meditated and waited. There is a demon repair on the canopy of almost every overcast tree. Looking at it in the past, there are tens of thousands, even countless. Ye Kong was a little surprised, and asked, don't you say that the news is only known by the nearby monster repair? Huai Kui said, yeah, these are the nearby Xiu. If the news spreads, the number will be 10 times more. There are so many demon repairs nearby Cao Junfan's side. The base of demon repairs is really huge. If there are 10,000 towns in a human village, there are not so many spiritual root monks. Huai Kui shook his head and said, not the same, don't look at these are all demon repairs, but how many people can finally be transformed? Of these tens of thousands of demon repairs, more than 99% will not live for more than 100 years, and human monks, as long as the spiritual root is good it is still easy to build a foundation. Cao Junfan still shook his head and sighed, Brother Huai said this is bad. If human cultivation is simple, why is there no ascendant in Kangnan so far? Even the God of God is only one of the UN sections, but here, even Mahayana, there are many periods. You are also in the distracting period, Brother Huai. If you go to Kangnan, it will be the first person in the world. Huai Kui denied, no one ascends in Kangnan does not mean that humans are not as good as monsters. Human cultivation is indeed more difficult than demon cultivation. No, demon repair is 100 times more difficult than humans. Everyone was stunned, Cao Junfan and Huai Kui even quarreled. However, at this moment, Dao exclaimed, but interrupted the dispute between the two men. What are they doing? Ye Kong and others looked along Dao's fingers, and saw a Yin Mua, a dog-head demon holding a jar in his hand. He spit out a bright red tongue into the jar, and held a sharp knife in the other hand. Use the knife to scrape on the tongue. If you look left and right, more Yao Xiu spit into the jar, and some Yao Xiu hang a piece of meat in front of them, and then face Lu Hareza. Even more outrageous is a monster with wings, flying over one by one, asking others to reward him with a spit. Cao Junfan said in amazement, they are all crazy. Dao frowned. So disgusting. Cao Muse covered her mouth and laughed. I came here for the first time, and I almost vomited. Come, let me tell you about the preservation method of this emperor's slurry. After Cao Mose finished speaking, Dao not only had eyebrows, but her nose was wrinkled. She said disgustingly, don't drink anymore? Oh my god, I won't drink even if I die. Cao Junfan laughed, wait for you to die half alive, unconscious, let you pour it down. Dao shouted, don't say it, it's disgusting. Then Huang Yiping exclaimed, Dad, the small bottle hanging behind your butt, it won't be. Huang Yaolong blushed, took the bottle and put it in a storage bag, and sneered, why would you do that kind of foolish thing for your father? This is because my father was afraid of thirst on the road and brought some drinks to drink. Everyone laughed and didn't expose it. After a while, they came to the hill that had been occupied in advance. Ye Kong and others also learned about the demon cultivation. Everyone found a shade tree and sat cross-legged on the crown of the tree, waiting for the imperial rain to come. It was almost noon, and the wind suddenly began to rise in the mountains of Yunyang, a very gentle breeze. In that wind, there was an extremely powerful aura. Yekong felt refreshed. When the breeze rose, Huaikui's eyes lighted up, and he stood up and said, "It is true that what is said in the book, the precursor of Emperor Zhongyu is the Reiki wind." Those demon repairs also showed themselves up, and they all stood up. Many monsters yelled happily, and many monsters drove up their instruments and flew into the air. The wind is getting stronger and stronger, and the aura contained in it is getting thicker. At the same time, the sunlight in the sky also becomes more intense and dazzling. Click. A loud noise suddenly came from the edge of the sky. Everyone looked away, and saw that on the west side of the sky, a five-colored cloud slowly floated around the colorful clouds, and the sky was extremely magnificent. At this time, Yekong clearly felt that the yin wood under his feet also quickly released yin, which is also a kind of aura, which contains aura with the properties of aquifer. The howling wind in the mountain forest was blowing more and more vigorously, blowing the five-colored clouds to the top of Yunyang mountain, and then never left again. The howling wind swayed Yekong's long shirt, and the sun gave out thousands of golden swords. There were suppressed thunder and thunder in the five-colored clouds, but the water and gas under his feet rose higher and higher. This was a confrontation between the forces of heaven and earth. The wind is getting stronger, but no matter how strong the wind is, it will not blow away the misty water vapor from the entire mountain. From a distance, the whole Yunyang mountain seems to be shrouded by a thin mist, accompanied by colorful clouds and sun in the sky. At this moment, it can be called the cloud steaming Xiaowei. The scene is huge and shocking. Imperial rain is coming. In the water vapor, all the monster repairers stood up excitedly. To the reader, congratulations to open the 12 sides to become a veteran and become a member. Thank you so much. 3 chapters today. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 963. 962 Bone Bound. Booming. The thunder in the five-color cloud is more dense, and you can see countless golden electric snakes swimming. After each roar, you will hear a dense, peacock-like sound. But the water vapor below was not afraid and was still struggling to attack. The water is silent, but brave. Gradually, the thin mist of water rose to the clouds, and if you look at it from a distance, it looks like a huge gray pillar, directly under the cloud of 5 colors. Click. The 5-colored cloud that could not stand the provocation finally descended into a thunder. Yekong and others were shocked. If this thunderbolt hit the ground, how many demons would have to die? The monster repairers right below the thunder and lightning were all shocked like earth, their legs trembling like sea bran. What a shake! I told you, that thunder can't be hit. At the top of an inconspicuous shade of a tree, a thin old man scolded a leopard demon beside him. Master, I know I can't fight it, but I can't help it. The leopard head demon Jiu is really the youngest member of Legia Letong. Cowardly, like a mouse, the awakened old devil snorted, holding his hand behind his back, and said, "Be prepared, when Emperor Zhongyu appears, it's when I'm shooting." Li Tong listened to the joy, and kneeled down again. "Thank you, master." Sure enough, the thunderbolt was not split through water vapor, but was blocked by water vapor. These transparent and thin water vapors have such great strength that they can block the sky mine. Boom, lightning strikes the outer layer of water vapor, dissipating large chunks of water vapor below the colorful clouds, but the power of lightning is also exhausted and invisible. Obviously, such bombardment had no lethal effect on the water vapor column, and the gap was quickly filled by the water vapor below, and the water vapor column continued to extend upwards. The 5-color cloud was angry, it became a little crazy, and began to continuously emit thunder and lightning, bombarding downwards. Boom boom boom, the earth moved the mountain and shook again. The power of this thunderbolt was so powerful that none of the tens of thousands of monsters below could dare to say that it could stop the blow. But the water vapor column blocked it? Looks like nothingness, but the weak water vapor blocked the thunder. Yekong looked up and couldn't help but say, "Why do I look more and more like a robber?" Huaiquei laughed on a shaded tree on his left. "I also feel like he is robbing, but once every 30,000 years, whose robbing is so difficult." On the other side, Cao Muse said, "Everything has a spirit and can be cultivated. I think this mountain also wants to soar into immortality. Can Das Han practice cultivation as an immortal?" Huang Yiping was curious when she heard such a statement for the first time. Cao Junfen laughed, "What's so strange about mountain cultivation? Many mountains have spirituality. I heard that some mountains have reached a certain point where they can still walk. Can the mountain also walk?" Huang Yiping was even more surprised. But at this time, Yekong shook his head and said, "I think this is more like a degree of these vapors." Huaiquei laughed, "No matter who he spends his time in, the book says that when the power of Kaiun and water vapor is completely consumed, it is when Emperor Xianxia appears. It was a long while ago, with the constant confrontation of the forces of heaven and earth, the power of thunder and lightning in the colorful clouds became weaker and weaker, and the water vapor rising from the mountains began to cut off. Later, there was no more water vapor rising, the bottom half of the giant pillar of the sky had disappeared, and a clear line of sight was restored on the mountain. Water vapor is getting thinner. Coming soon." Huaiquei stared at the sky. Those demon rapiers also felt something, all holding up the jar filled with saliva in their hands. Finally, there was a loud bang, and a terrifying shock. Surprisingly, that colorful cloud of dozens of acres exploded into countless tiny fines in an instant. At that moment, the scene was magnificent, as if it were a huge fireworks bloom. Kaiun's exploding into powder does not mean that Kaiun has retreated, but that it moved the final blow to the end. The fine debris of the colorful clouds turned into thousands of fine currents, dazzling in the sky, and shooting down to the water vapor. The water vapor at the end of the crossbow is also very spiritual, and desperately tried to meet it. "Either you die or I live. Even if all go together." Regardless of whether it is a mountain or a water vapor storm, Yekong and others are touched by the scene. At that moment, thousands of fireworks bloom in the sky at the same time. This is a bloodless war. This is also a war without victory. In the last hit, Kaiun and water vapor died out at the same time. Cao Mu Pigment faced the sky, there was regret in the beautiful eyes, and she sighed softly. "It's been a long time to become immortal, but it disappeared. Is it worth it?" "Of course it's worth it," Yekong said with a flash of magic in his eyes. "At least he tried it, and at the last moment, he didn't give up. Okay, it's time to eat beans." It turned out that under the last blow of Kaiun and moisture, they actually magically merged, and the end of the battle turned out to be a fusion. Above the Yunyang mountain, there is a dense layer of green raindrops, which are dozens of miles away, all within the range. These raindrops slowly land. Every raindrop is green and glowing, and it is full of spiritual power, like dewdrops, and it dazzles in the sun. The emperor is running. The demon repairmen went crazy, thousands of streamers rushed into the air, and greeted those slowly falling raindrops. This is the gift of heaven and earth to them. The mouth of the wolf, the mouth of the dog, the mouth of the snake, all kinds of animal mouths opened their mouths to meet those green and attractive water drops. But at this happy moment, oh, a terrific sword light rang, and a dazzling golden light suddenly flashed on one side of the sky, so that the pressure of the monster's panic was over. Yekong was frightened, stopped the flying sword, turned his head to look, and frowned. "Master, why are you killing them?" "It's over there," Li Tong anxiously pointed in the direction of Yekong. "How do you use your nonsense for the teacher?" The awakened old demon sighed in anger, raised his hand, and drew the corpses of blood monsters still around the neck. They were collected in a storage bag and all were packed. Go in. Winged flying leopards, earth-digging dragons, these are monsters that are difficult to hunt. If you do nt kill them today, you won't find them in the future. As for those few enemies, can they run away? Su Xinglao the moan snorted, his body moved, and he flew over. All the demon monks were so scared that they didn't dare to move, and the emperor in the sky fell down and did not dare to act lightly. However, there are also fast monsters who have been flying high, and Emperor Liujiang is on their heads. Finally, a demon who could not stand the temptation, looked up and opened his mouth to eat. When it's time to eat, it's almost there. Oh, the awakening old devil didn't look back at all, just raised his hand, and the flying bird monster was divided into two by a sword light. Without the consent of my waking old demon, no one wants to get Emperor Liujiang, otherwise, he will end. The waking old demon flew to Yekong and others in an overbearing manner. Here he is qualified to be overbearing. In the middle of deification, on the Yin-Yang mountain, it is like a god. Of course, Huai couldn't let the awakening old devil wanton, flew up and blocked him, and asked in a cold voice, "Who is coming?" "Wake up the old demon, wait for you to die. This is the master of my three brothers." Li Tonghu pretended to be a fake tiger. Although Huai was not often in office, he traveled around and let him hear a lot of waking old demon. I did not expect that the master of the Legia three brothers turned out to be this old devil. Huai was startled, but she didn't move her face, and said, "It's the senior who is awake, I don't know what to do here." "Haha. Good question," the awakening old devil laughed. "You ask me, I want to ask you. Why do you come here, do you not know?" Li Tong interrupted, "Here's to avenge my two brothers." Huai's face remained unchanged, saying lightly, "The Legia brothers deliberately destroyed the teleportation array, causing the town's contact with Heilongqing to be interrupted. It cannot be repaired in the short term. According to Heilongqing's rules, he has already committed the death penalty." "You bullshit," Li Tong was furious, he had no idea what his brother's death had to do with the teleportation. The awakening old devil raised his hand to stop the apprentice and said, "I don't care what rules I ask, but you killed my two apprentices. Li Nan was killed by me alone, and has nothing to do with others." Yekong Fei came forward and said. "You," the awakening old devil frowned, coldly, "Boy, do you know what you mean by saying this?" At this time, Huai came up and pushed away Yekondeo, "Killing Libo Lenin is my order to let them go." Huai also transmitted a message to Yekong, "Hurry up. He didn't dare to kill me, I'm the mayor appointed by Heilongqing. This is why he didn't do it." Yekong also whispered, "You take them with me, I have a way to save my life." But the awakening old devil sneered, "Want to be strong? Don't look at your own cultivation, and have suffered, I don't think you are good people, you all have to die." Na Libo shouted, "Master, both of them, the pair of men and women with the surname Cao, and the weasel in the middle form, next to his daughter, they are all murderers." "Then go to death," the awakening old devil glared with both hands violently pulled away and sent forward. Boom! Yekong and others all disappeared on the spot. Deo was furious, and the boy was taken away by the old man. She didn't care about the others either, she turned into a water dragon, her eyes widened, and rushed. The awakened old devil did not expect that there was a dragon here, and shouted, "Slow! Who are you, surname Yan or surname Ao?" In fact, Deo is not stupid, knowing that there is timidity in waking up the old demon. But let Deo admit surname Yan, she is not happy. First, she did not recognize her ancestors, saying that the surname was Yan, and she was suspected of being false. Secondly, she didn't like the surname Yan. "Remember, my last name is Dragon," Deo roared, and a dragon swept his tail. The last name is Yanhilong, and the last name Ao is White Dragon. This water dragon should be irrelevant. The awakening old devil was relieved, and his method was another dozen, long, let's go in together. Seeing that he was about to throw away the jade of the awakening old demon, there was no trace immediately.